It is that time of year.
Hard to believe.
It's hard to believe it's that time of year. Honestly, I'm gonna watch Let It Be like 3 more times before this year is over. It's gonna be on my replay list in the background, just constantly. 8 hours of
just not yesterday. Did you watch yesterday?
Sorry.
Have you seen yesterday?
I did. I have watched yesterday. I thought it was well done.
Yeah.
But this one, like Let It Be, is just it's just like it answers all these questions that if you're a Beatles nerd, you've always wanted to know. It's like who's the band belong to, and then John and Paul actually say like who the Beatles belong to, like who runs it, and all this other stuff. And it's just crazy that like Paul McCartney, like in that time period, the visionary is like, guys, we need to do stuff on movies and visualize and like move. Like it can't be just like sounds. It has to be like backdrops and everything else. And no one in that time period thought about that way. Now, when you listen to Taylor Swift or like Kanye, everything's about visualization. Like Kanye on like the last concert, and when he was on that platform that was swinging back and forth, like everything now is like music plus visual is what we were looking for.
Tommy Lee Jones on the drums as it's circling upside down on the track.
Yeah. So it's
Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Laser light shows du jour.
I think Pink Floyd,
one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, Pink Floyd is kind of like Led Zeppelin. It's like that. It's once you get to the teenage ages, you're like, yeah, it's like you're in, and then you're zoned in. But I think the Beatles is kind of no matter what decade you're in, it's like you're just down. Like there was this thing I heard on a podcast today about Ken Burns was talking about every time he does documentaries, and he talks about the Beatles are the only outliner history where typically when something like a movie comes out, John, 10 years later, it's less relevant. 20 years after that, he's even less relevant. 30 years after that, it's like, oh, no one cares. Like 50 years later, it's like, it's over. But the Beatles is the only thing that every decade, like no matter what, it's still as popular. There's not a point where like, we talk about these Marvel movies now, but in 20 years from now, will there be talking about Marvel movies? Who knows? But there's one thing we do know, that we talk about the damn Beatles. So it's one of those things where, it's crazy. Anyways, welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. Nonetheless, watch Let It Be on Disney Plus. Don't mind the smoking and the swearing. It's good time. Up-res. Good times. So we are in the holiday season. We're going to talk about some random things today. Talking about our favorite Christmas movies, favorite Christmas television episodes, and of course, Hawkeye. So I'm your host, Dupe. With me is one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World, who does not know how to fire a bow and arrow, John Ho. Yeah, no, pinky fingers are not.
I feel like you just pulled the string back.
Pinky finger is for tea, not for bow and arrows.
Do you know what though? In all fairness, for those who are watching, if you are trying to mime somebody playing a keytar, that's exactly what John's doing as well. So it's the same pantomime for John. He has no idea what he's doing.
Yes. What's up, folks? Have bow and arrow sales gone up? That is the burning question right now.
Maybe. I think it went up in The Walking Dead.
You think those guys who make No, but do you think those guys who make compound bows or whatever are in the boardroom right now looking at a sales chart and it's like, and then all of a sudden it's like Hawkeye hits and then it's like,
no, John. When The Walking Dead hit and it was used to kill zombies, when Merle and I forget that guy's name, the other.
you think that was the peak then?
I think that was the peak.
Right?
Because they're like Volta zombie enthusiasts. Like, you're right, bows and arrows. You don't need bullets. Like bow and arrow, you can just bring back. Like there were scenes where you just bring back the arrow and just stab the guy in the head again. So it's unlimited ammo for bows and arrow. You just have to have aim. Guns, you can run out of bullets. So I think in The Walking Dead season 2, I think that was like the highest of peaks where they're like, oh yeah, when the zombie apocalypse comes, you need a bow and arrow, a composite one. So like the nice ones.
So Rambo. And then Walking Dead.
Walking Dead is the peak.
And then maybe Hawkeye is the next spike.
No, we're going to talk about Hawkeye because those trick arrows, you're not going to be able to get them. I can tell you right now, like those trick arrows, no, not going to happen. So, and we're here with Mr. Rob Goudet.
That's a great transition.
There's another guy here.
Our resident variant, Mr. Rob Goudet. Please say hello.
Hello. They call me Hawk Ear.
Not to be confused with another Gaudette on the Ottawa Senator who plays hockey. So
No, one of us has talent.
I'm not going to say which one. Anyways, welcome. So we're going to start first with our review.
I know sports, so I'm not affiliated with that joke. So
he's part of the Vancouver Canucks, and he signed with the Ottawa Senators.
I don't think he spells his name the same way, though.
Are you sure?
Yeah, mine has a C-O-O-L in it. What?
Okay, there we go.
I just made that up.
All right, so Hawkeye, episode 3. Boom, John. All right, John. What happened in episode 3? Can you tell us? First off, the name of the episode is Echoes. So
yeah, I knew this was gonna happen. I had volunteered Stu and Rob to do the summary, but I knew Stu was gonna flip it. So
did you really?
I don't.
He did.
No, I didn't. I did, but I didn't
chat.
prepare anything. So I'm a dummy. So yeah, the title is called Echoes. So we open up the episode with obviously spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it for some reason, we do recommend the show if you watch our last episode.
Well, no, give a
we
non-spoiler
open up
review.
with-
God damn it!
Not spoiler. Okay, we open up and we see the origin of our new character that was revealed during the end of last episode, Maya Lopez, who is in fact Echo. And they go to an interrogation with some fun carnival rides in a burnt out warehouse, and we get our first action set piece. Some people may or may not escape from this interrogation, and we move into our second epic action piece with multiple cars, including the Challenger that was featured in the trailers for the show. So I feel like I'm not giving anything away when you watch that. And then we go into some background information into Hawkeye's family life. So we get to see a little bit more of Clint Barton behind the scenes, what he has to do, what he has to deal with. And then we get to go back to what's her name? Kate Bishop's house. Or apartment or
Massive
condo.
penthouse.
What is that thing? It's a palace.
Massive, yeah.
It's a palace. We go back to there and they do some more recon, trying to figure out who's behind all this and who's pulling all the strings, and then end episode with a nice big kind of cliffhanger.
Awesome.
spoiler
This
free.
episode had so much fun things in it, so many homages, like the Children of Men homage in that vehicle, which was awesome. My prediction was actually right. I called it from the free episode. I'm like, it's gonna end in episode 3 because they usually don't give away too much stuff, and this fit perfectly because now going forward, there's only 3 episodes left, and we've seen nothing else. So, John,
Yeah, we're halfway.
Halfway episodes. Out of it, did you like this episode without spoiling it? Did it live up to the love and the hype that's
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So yes, episode 1 and 2 definitely were. I rated them very high, and this one did deliver in continuing the level of funness.
Yeah. Rob?
Oh yeah. You know what? The mark of any good episode of television is when it ends, you're shocked to shit that it's ending, and you're like, wait, what? That's it? Like, time flew by so quickly watching this episode, and it was a little bit shorter than the past 2, but when it ended, I credits came up, I'm like, wait, what? Like, already? Like, I was shocked how fast it was. So yeah, I really enjoyed. Man, they're 3 for 3.
John, what's your rating out of 10?
I wish I gave the previous episodes a little bit lower, so I could clearly dictate that this was the winner of the 3, but I have to give it 10 out of 10 because I gave the last 2 10 out of 10, so I can't go backwards now because this is definitely better than those.
May I mention that just like one of my all favorite bands, you know what's higher than 10? 11.
Spinal Tap it, boys.
I'll reserve the breaking of the ceiling.
That's
the final 3 episodes. I feel like it's very close though. I feel like this episode was pretty damn good.
Another great mockumentary / music thing. Anyways, Rob, what do you give this out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 9. There are some things I had with it, but which we'll get into. But yeah, oh man, this is so much fun.
All right, let's go full on spoilers because John wants to talk about things. We're going through it. All right,
everybody
John.
dies.
Spoiler!
Whoa, dude, do you give it 10 out of 10?
No, I think like Rob. I think they teased us the right amount of stuff. I would give it, I think, on par with last week. I think I gave it like an 8 last week. I think I'll do an 8 again, or 8.5 if that was the case. Yeah. It's not a
so
9.
far. It's consistent. It's consistent at least.
There were moments where I was giggling and laughing. All the stuff that happens, all the arrows, So we will go into spoilers now because we're dying to talk about all that crap. All right, so spoilers if you haven't seen it. If you have, welcome aboard the spoiler train. John, let's talk about arrows. Trick arrows. Were you all, or is it everything you'd hope for? Honestly, in Arrow, the TV show, as much as I love the punching glove, all these arrows were.
I was gonna say it's missing your one favorite arrow, Stu. It's missing your one favorite arrow.
Honestly, all these new arrows were so much more fun. I don't care about the punching glove arrow. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. There was so many ridiculous arrows and so many fun things that I'm like, I'm all on board. So let's talk about just the wacky-do arrows and stuff, like the fight sequences. John, Maya shows up. Everything's going on. Maybe there's a kingpin. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your episode.
Yeah. So I don't know if we want to delve into the comic realm of this character, Echo. So I don't know if we want to keep that kind of semi-spoiler in case some of you are watching the show and haven't researched this character.
We'll do another spoiler afterwards. Another spoiler after that.
Yeah. Well, so we'll go after and we'll talk a little bit about that character. But yeah, overall, like if we're just talking about sheer action, and we did watch a show that did bank a lot on action, Cowboy Bebop. This show shows you like how you're supposed to do that type of action. I don't know what was going on with Cowboy Bebop. That's a whole nother animal. We can get into that discussion. But the action in this looked really good. It's on par, like especially the second action sequence, which was the car chase, is on par with anything I think Marvel has put on the big screen. So if this was in a major Marvel movie, it would have been the major set piece of that movie. Like, so I do like where this is going. It does have a little bit of the Winter Soldier feel, maybe not as visceral as, you know, Bucky ripping the steering wheel out while they're doing that big chase on the bridge. So because it's got a little more humor injected. But everybody, you know, the fighting style, you can clearly tell Maya, aka Echo, is can beat pretty much anyone on that we've seen so far. Her fighting abilities, so that she had to get taken down by kind of well-placed arrows, which we might have an issue with later on. But everything else, Kate Bishop, Haley Steinfeld doing like kind of like fun slides and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know how much of that is stunt work or not, but great work from the show overall in portraying this. And shame that the Challenger got wrecked.
He said it. It's like, darn, even the Challenger still got wrecked. So he said it.
Yeah, it still got wrecked. So they should have taken it. Who knows if we're going to see another one? I think in the comic book they had a whole bunch of Mini Coopers. So I'm interested to see if that shows up later. I'm talking the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. But yeah, I couldn't be happier with this type of action. Definitely in the 80s, 90s action wheelhouse for sure.
Rob, thoughts?
Yeah. First of all, I thought that the actress who portrayed Echo was fabulous. I think this is like one of her first acting gigs.
Yep.
This is the first one. Yeah.
You look like a newcomer. Yeah.
And I had read that both Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner had learned some basic ASL to be able to communicate and compliment her and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. I thought she did a good job. I thought she portrayed the look of torment and anger and sadness at losing her father quite well. The only reason I thought that she was new is because I just read that article today that I mentioned. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. She looked like she did awesome and she held her own, as John was saying. The fight scene was cool. Yeah. The fight scene was cool getting out of the KB toy store, old school KB toys for our US friends. The car chase scene, it reminded me a lot of Extraction. The Extraction car chase scene, where the camera is in the car and then it would zip to the next car and it would swing around. This one reminded me a lot of Extraction, but it also reminded me of the Daredevil hallway fight scene, where one would think it's one big long take, but as they were panning over, that's where the cuts were made, the edits were made to, using the camera. And so the camera rotation in this one, there was some edits there. You could tell that's how they were getting around doing stuff, but it was seamless. And it was a lot of fun. My only drawback to that scene, it felt very Disney-fied. And I mean that not as a, not to say it was bubblegum or poppy, but I felt like it was a bit silly. I know that you're a fan of the trick arrows and I like the trick arrows, but I thought like the one with the Christmas trees all coming on. Like it felt like I was watching a made for Disney holiday movie in that regard. The arrow with the bubble.
You don't love Home Alone? God damn it. Come on.
No, but I'm just saying, but it's not,
Did
it doesn't,
you see Jungle Cruise though, Rob?
No, I haven't seen it. No. So it hasn't, no, I haven't
okay,
seen it
yeah,
yet.
yeah. That you're very Disney action. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it hasn't it didn't take me away. I felt it. And the reason I mention it is because I think tonally this is vastly different than what we got with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And so it's not a negative per se against Hawkeye, but I think tonally when you're watching this or even versus Loki, you can just tell there's something completely different about this. I feel like this is a lot more accessible to probably a younger crowd who would want to watch it with their parents. Right. But I did like, the fight scene, the car chase scene was a lot of fun. Where this really hit, not hit home for me because I can't relate per se, but where this got me in the feels was, Hawkeye loses his ability to hear. His hearing aid's been knocked out and it's been crushed or whatever, and they're waiting for it to be repaired. And his phone rings and he can't hear, and he's assuming it's his wife, and Kate's telling him it's his son, his young son, and he's trying to have a conversation, but she's having to write down what the son is saying, and the son's like, you're not going to be home for movie night. No. And he goes, well, if you have to miss Christmas, it's okay. And seeing him, seeing Jeremy Renner have to, as Hawkeye, have this conversation with his son, he can't hear the sadness, but he can read it, and he can see it off of Kate's face of what she's emulating to him.
The expression that she makes, when he has to like react to it, it's like great job by her. Amazing shot. And
even he looks so tormented in the fact that he's sacrificing once again his family for this greater duty.
Also, his kid's used to it, right? Like, because he's like, it's okay.
Yeah, he's used to it. Okay, Dad, don't worry if you can't make it home for Christmas. And he's like, it's a different dynamic. I think if the scene had played out and you could hear,
difficulties.
Hear the conversations back. Stu. Okay, I think it was Stu. So when you're watching it. If it was the two of them talking, you could hear the conversations back and forth. I think that it's a different scene in this one, because you can't hear when you're in Hawkeye's perspective. Everything is muted. You could barely hear anything. It's the water, right? That adds a lot of drama to the scene, and I thought it was well done, well executed, and well written. So yeah, I'm enjoying this series, and I wish it was getting more attention, because I think it's definitely setting itself apart from the other shows.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Sorry, we might be having some lag issues. Stu, like, can you give us input on like what you thought of overall the episode? I don't know if you're waiting for us to say something, or you're waiting for.
No. I'm clearly we're having some weird technical glitches, but I can say that, to your point, Rob, I think the attention is going to build because, like, for example, today's episode, the similarities between Echo and Kate, kind of the similarities between the two characters and both of their fathers. And Maya's father, I think it was like Zach. I think it's like McClare. Oh, McLaren.
I've seen him around. He's on Longmire. I know that.
He was in Westworld. He was in like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, Westworld too. Yeah.
He's in a bunch of like movies. He was great in it at playing Maya's dad, and I liked kind of how they kind of hid the fact that she has prosthetic when she's little girl sitting there. That little girl who played Maya was incredible, like just hiding the backpack there, and then when she went out there to just fight, she just kicked butt and took names. So and even that one tracking sequence across when Ronan was basically decimating all the tracksuit mafia, like that was like, rewatching that, you're like, whoa, like a full pan across, and you can see Ronan going across. It makes me wonder if that was Jeremy Renner, or is it someone else being Ronan? Like it could be anything right now. Maybe it's a different. Maybe there was more than one there was a copycat.
It's so cool that they did this throwaway Ronin part that we thought we saw in Avengers, and we're like, oh, he was Ronin for like 10 minutes, has become such a big part in the consequences.
He was Ronin for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like it was a long time.
But in the movie, they just show it for like a minute or two, and then you're like, yeah, he was Ronin, he did this stuff, but it's coming back to kind of haunt him and be expanded as this thing that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go around like just murdering everybody that you think or that you affiliated with gangs and all this type of stuff, because it's all coming back to him now. That's crazy. It's a cool idea.
I thought, like, to Rob, I know Rob wasn't a big fan of the Home Alone hijinks, which was the trick arrows, but that's what we all wanted. Like, I wanted to see all the goofy things in that. I liked, because you saw the tease where she's like, you have more powerful arrows than that? He's like, yeah, just like, and them just kind of communicating, like, do this, and like use the putty on the car, and she just throws it on the windshield. She doesn't know what's going on.
Use it on the wheels, and she's like, yeah, thanks.
Like, and then she's like, fire the arrow high, and then when he pulled that arrow,
that was cool. The Pym
arrow, you're like, and it's blue. You're like, well, I've seen the blue arrow. Blue's big. So I'm like, oh man, it was like awesome when that arrow comes down, and you're like,
what's the fate of the USB arrow? Do you guys remember if they picked it up after, or they?
No, the USB arrow bounced off a guy. That was it.
Yeah. But did they pick it up after?
No. It just bounced off.
I think it fell off on probably into the water. Or
whatever. Like this, it was boop, and it fell down. He was like, oh, and it was like nothing. Can I talk?
You might call that arrow stupid, but it could have saved the day at the end of Winter Soldier, where he basically has to insert a USB key to take down
in Avengers, he shot that arrow and it went into the shield helicarrier and started downloading.
Oh, is that what it did?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
And also in What If, he fires it and it installs Zola onto the USB. Oh my goodness, John. Yeah, the USB arrow came in twice.
Who built an Ultron with a USB port, by the way? Anyways.
No, man, you don't know. You don't know what's going on. Just like who builds a Death Star with a little one tube that goes all the way down.
A little flap.
A little flap that you can shoot a bomb down. Like, don't ask questions, John. This is silly of you. I enjoyed all the hijinks of that. I enjoyed just how the little nuances of the show where the truck is called the Moving Bros, and
the truck was great
so much. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Of course, the Moving Bros. It's like, and it was just like,
did you see on the side it says "Smile, you're moving" or something? Like
at
the back. But I was like, this branding is wicked.
Like, and then the other thing too, like the tracksuit mafia guys, like Garage was called like fat ones, like Garage.
Yeah. So I heard that, but I didn't see it. Yeah,
so it's like on the sign. So like it makes me wonder. Nonetheless, and then when even Hawkeye, when he goes to that apartment, was like, oh my god, like who are you? And it's like, oh yeah, my grandfather, is a bishop, and he kind of built. He owns the building. So
he owns the building.
Now it was cool to see at the very end when the Swordmaster, like we saw that blade, and as Rob said, it leaves you wanting more. That was a really cool scene. You're like, so. I think it's doing the one thing that we complained about, and we've talked about this in 3 straight episodes, where like, oh, it's not long enough, or it just and not just stretching out for the sake of stretching out like Cowboy Bebop. It is content that makes sense. The whole beginning with Maya, it made sense. Like everything is just breathing properly. And even the scene where they're in the cafe together, where they're just showing that like Wes Anderson like face-to-face conversation.
Yeah, that was an extreme close-up on both of those performances.
It was because again, it's like it's showing the closest of them, and because he maybe has a hearing, like showing how they're communicating back and forth. And then
or even on the subway, even the subway scene.
The nice moment on the subway where she's saying like, and Hawkeye was like, man, when you talk about being one of the world's greatest archers, she was like, and she's like, oh, and he's like, okay, but we gotta walk that dog. And then he was like, not even like, yeah, we gotta walk that dog. It's like it's just the nuance. Like at the end of the day, as we know, Kate Bishop's going to continue on being Hawkeye. I'm probably not going to get season 2 of this show, but I would just love just more of them just doing stuff together. And even when she drew the costume of the Hawkeye, see, there's the H on it, and there's the Vince, and he's like, first of all, no, my wife would divorce me, and I'm trying to.
That's why I don't have flashy costumes.
Yeah, like blend in and not look like I'm just like, oh, like it's just. That's a shield training taking place.
Yeah.
So
Do you know the last 20 years, my sole job was to not be recognized? Right? Like, yeah, the whole thing. And then when she sends him that text message and she goes, it's a good thing, they call you Hawkeye and not Hawk Ear or whatever, because he couldn't. And he's like, blocked, deleted, like, never calling me again. Like, their chemistry is great. And Stu, you're right. I think Renner's close to 50, right? So this might be his last go round as this character. Maybe you get him one more in a movie.
How old is Bruce Willis? Bruce Willis is still doing Die Hards.
Well, let's not. Rob. Let's talk about Tom Cruise. He's doing a stunt right now where he's going to practice doing on a World War II biplane. Like, he's practicing this new stunt where he's going to be jumping off a World War II biplane. And I'm like, Tom Cruise is 70-ish. Like, who knows how old?
Well, I'm not that old. He's 50, 60? 55. But I don't know. I mean, the way that things get, made and whatnot, maybe we see Jeremy Renner a couple more times after this show, but his chemistry with Haley Stanfield is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, listen, as far as I'm concerned, they're 3 for 3 for these shows so far. Some of these Marvel shows, we've had dips a couple of times. You get into the third episode, you're like, oh, and I kind of expected that dip. I'm not going to lie. I thought we were going to get a bit of a dip, and I felt like this one kept the ball. They're running.
Like a filler stretch.
And on top of this, John, you're giving these 3 all 10s. Right. Yeah. Girl, Yelena hasn't even shown up yet. Like, she's next. Like, she is going to show up and be like, I got retribution for the Black Widow. Like, you are going down. So we haven't even seen her yet to do her down flippity hair thing. So, it's going to happen.
The one thing I wanted to mention is that I noticed, now I'm not overly familiar, like very little at all, of this character of Echo. And so I know that she has ties to our boy in the Hell's Kitchen in some capacity.
Okay, so spoiler alert, folks.
We're going to talk about that.
Don't want to know anything about the future.
Yeah, for those who are wondering, before we get to full spoilers, because my brother is a huge Daredevil fan. So when that run came out, when Echo first came out, I think I bought all the comics. Well, we picked them up from Heroes World probably at that time and read it. So it is a Daredevil character because the man without fear who is blind now is combating against a woman who is deaf. And that was kind of the thing. There is a thing in the episode where we can put in the lines. If you watch it carefully, you hear the footsteps, heavy footsteps.
Yeah.
You see a man's hand touch Maya with very distinguished cufflinks.
Yes.
So there is a feeling that it could be, possibly.
He was a Fisk of some sort.
Yes, Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, but her history does line with the Kingpin. But we will now go into the spoilers of that character, because if you don't want to know, just fast forward a little bit. But
I just wanted to say though very quickly that the one thing I was, when I'm watching this as a newbie, if anybody had watched the Daredevil series on Netflix, if that's your only introduction to Daredevil, the parallels between her and her father and Matt Murdock and Jack Murdock, like it was unbelievable. Like, you were literally watching the Yang to Matt Murdock's Yang, going through with the crime and everything else like that, and the father dying, and like, it was. So for me, as a guy who, I watched the Netflix, I got Miller's Daredevil run, in trades here and all that stuff. I don't know Echo, but as from a casual viewer perspective, if you're just like me and you're watching it and you've watched that Daredevil scene, you'd be forgiven if you were like, wait a minute, this seems very familiar. I think they did a great job. So I just wanted to put that out there because.
Yeah. So a quick synopsis of it. She has the ability to, like the real Taskmaster, to replicate people's fighting styles by sight. So if she sees it, she can do it no matter what it is. So that is her power in the comic book. I feel like they're doing it right now when they show the highlight of that young man's foot, and showing the fact that the tracksuit mafia, who's very involved in this judo and whatnot. So this could be their training ground to get more of it. Someone pointed out that in the credits, the little kid that she was fighting is actually the main character that she's sign languaging in it. So like,
really?
it's the little boy that is like her translator later on in the series. So it kind of makes sense that they've grown up together and this is it. So the Tracksuit Mafia in the comic book all fall up to the Kingpin. So the Kingpin is their leader. So in the comic book, her father is killed, and Wilson Fisk tells her that her father was killed by Daredevil. So he takes in Maya and sends her off basically Batman style to all the best schools and all the best everything to train and become the best killer possible. Brings her back. She starts killing and doing everything for the Kingpin until she discovers that, wait, Matt Murdock didn't kill my father. It was actually the Kingpin. So there was that is the storyline of it. And eventually she becomes Ronin. She takes over the mantle and she joins the Avengers.
The Ronin suit originates with Daredevil, actually.
Yep.
So Hawkeye, I think, eventually does take it up at some point. But yeah, it originates with Daredevil, who then passes it on to Maya. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. I feel like it's not really a spoiler because they're deviating. Like everything is being all messed around and they kind of appropriate. I don't know what appropriate, but you taking this thing,
you're right,
and moved it over to Hawkeye instead of Daredevil. Yeah,
this is MCU's Aphies, kind of like how the 10 rings are now bracelets, and like they
Walking Dead's been doing that as well, right? I mean, they've moved away from the source material. They've adapted certain storylines to fit the TV show or in different ways. So
Kirkman to this day, it says cutting off a person's hand was the biggest mistake of his life. So that's why he didn't do it in the TV show. It's like, what was I doing? That was a mistake.
How many more issues am I going to do? Oh man, that's a bad idea.
How many times can you not do something with a hand? Oh my gosh, it'd be easy if you had a hand still. So yeah, Kirkman has on many occasions said that was a mistake. So good on him. That's why I still like him.
I'm just gonna end this series without telling anybody.
I don't know what to do anymore. It's a bat out of hell. So needless to say, super excited for what happens next. We do know that there are some more confrontations, and hopefully that is the reveal of potentially the big bad. And fingers crossed, it's Kingpin, because
do you think
and not Mephisto?
Hopefully, maybe it's Kingpin as Mephisto or Mephisto as
man. Imagine if it was Agatha. Fuck.
All along,
Agatha,
baby.
all along.
Even people like on the internet was talking about the laugh. Like the laugh that the character did was like D'Onofrio. Like,
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Do you think it? Because I was like, oh my god, it sounds like D'Onofrio.
I think they're laying down the seeds, but I don't think he's gonna be in this series. I think they just laid it out to say that he's gonna be there, because even the correction office, like, Uncle doesn't like this. Like, this is not a good idea to go after Ronin. So I think even then we're like, what are you doing? Like, this is your own quest to take out Ronin. This is not right for us.
Yeah.
So, and then even later on when they're talking about, it's like, oh, the guy who's running this is like, and he described it, but he didn't say the name.
Yeah.
So I feel at the end of the day, the two big bads are going to be, Eleanor, Bishop, and Swordsman. Like, those are the two bad guys, and then that's what's going to happen. And then I think Wilson Fisk will be maybe just the bad guy that happens in Echo. So or to deal with that.
I wonder if her dad is gonna. There's something about her. Like, you mean? I mean, we kind of, or I hypothesize that maybe Eleanor killed the father, right, in the first episode.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 100%. Because even in that line in the first episode, when the other character, Jack's uncle, was like, like, you've propped up this empire and threatening her. I think it was just like, when they're in debt or whatever, like, it's a good time during a New York City being attacked, that the CEO of this company is now gone, and now she takes over. So either she's indebted to the mafia or she's involved with them or something, but she doesn't seem as squeaky clean as you would think she is. So but yeah, that the moment we saw that blade of Ronin, and then it just ends. I turned around too. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. It's like so unfair, because like but that's just perfect, right? Like, yeah.
And like, it was perfect with no words, no nothing, no bum bum bum. It was just like, I just cut and then went to music.
Yeah.
So
quick cut.
it was a quick cut. So honestly, there's nowhere to go but down. So man, let's just hope that this show continues on its it's a nice run. All right. Any other final thoughts of this episode, John? Anything else you loved? Anything else you hated before we jump?
I did like the musical cues. We got like, I don't know what it's called, the Nutcracker Suite and all these kind of like traditional music cues in it. I thought that was really great. I love the two cars riding around, the Challenger and the Lincoln. Great. I do question some of the, like, I don't know if Rob's going to delve into anything he didn't like. But I feel like, did he murder those guys with the arrows, or did he incapacitate them?
Oh, he incapacitated everyone. He incapacitated.
Yeah.
Arrows,
but the biggest threat, which is Maya, he just kind of like
unless maybe
he recognizes or something.
He shot in a shoulder. He stabbed two people in the face.
Yeah, but the biggest threat to you, the person who can clearly kick your ass, and everybody in the room's ass, is the one that gets like the lightest.
Not a killer.
Yeah, I guess the situation was okay that he was able to stop her, but yeah, I couldn't really pick out.
If anyone killed anyone, it was Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop flat out murdered a dude in that car.
Yeah, with the car. Yeah. When
like
she
that
exploded
van,
the car, I feel like there's no surviving that.
No. That dude is dead.
That was a very Batman and Superman thing.
Yeah.
But shout outs to the performers who I don't know if they're going to go through the whole series with these beat up and cut up faces, but usually you don't do that to your star performers, right? You want them to look nice and pretty or nice and clean. But they're all wearing band-aids and stuff like that. I think that's a nice little touch that adds a little bit of like street kind of realism to it.
Well, I think
this so far is living up to all my expectations and more, I feel.
I think, John, it emulates the first episode when they're like, they go to the CSV and they're like, grab medical supplies, like buy this. They're like, it's like
clean this,
just a dude. And it echoes in the episode when they're at the diner and he has the tape on it and it has the H on it for Hawkeye on his head because it's the scar and he puts two band-aids. But he's like, you don't understand, like there are risks, there are consequences. They're like, just like what Mordo is like, the bill, there's a natural order of things. Like when you do this, the bill needs to be paid. Like you just don't walk away scot-free. But Kate being so young and being so like, yeah, but it's awesome, you get his power and you get a suit, and then he's like, no, I don't think you understand, man. Like I have no hearing and I have kids I gotta look after. Like this is not something I want to do going forward.
And definitely Haley with the I think the best reaction in the episode is the look on her face when Jeremy Renner, like Rob was saying, is on that call. And like that was great. I don't know what type of direction or where she pulled that from. Like that was like, you could totally tell. You could read the emotion.
Academy nominated actress, John.
Yeah, and it's showing. That. Yeah, it's showing. Yeah.
And then of course, Rob, what are your thoughts?
No, like final thoughts. No, I liked it. I don't want to make any predictions as to what I'm going to feel for next week. The pessimist in me, based on how Marvel has done things, is that I'm just waiting for a little bit of disappointment next week. But the fan in me is really hoping I'm wrong. Like that's,
any movie, it's usually hard to top the midway point, right?
No,
like,
I know, but
the ending is hard to finish, right?
I know, but I feel like so far this might be like, so far I'm like, I am more inclined to rewatch these episodes than on any of the other Marvel shows that we've watched.
Rob, out of these 3 episodes, which one's your favorite?
Out of the 3?
Yeah.
Probably the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And needless to say, Rob, if you get a third dog, you're gonna name him Little Caesar.
Pizza.
Is that Little Caesars?
Yeah.
Little Caesar.
Yeah.
Little Caesar.
That's right.
What are the breadsticks? Are they just called breadsticks or Caesar sticks or something like that? Like the cheesy sticks or cheesy something.
Cheesy bread.
Cheesy bread.
I don't know. Maybe Name cheesy bread.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for when she's talking to Lucky. And she's like, pizza dog? And he smiles. I'm like, oh dear God, you know how to pick the nicest looking dog. Golden retriever. Good Lord. All right, here we go. Holiday films and recommendations. Here we go, John.
Spirit Fingers.
Needless to say, it's holiday season upon us.
What?
We're in December. Holiday movies are played. John, what is your holiday movie that you recommend that people check out if they haven't seen? Or what's your go-to holiday movie?
So there's a lot of classics. I know everyone's probably going to think I'm going to say Die Hard. But I'm actually going to choose another movie. I think
Die Hard 2.
Yeah, that's funny. A bunch of you that know me.
Lethal Weapon. You're going to pick Lethal Weapon?
No, I think a bunch of people that know me are gonna see this 100% coming, and this
Iron Man
movie
3.
could be no more relevant today. I don't think at the time they created the movie, they didn't think it was gonna be so relevant, but that's gotta be Arnold Schwarzenegger's Jingle All the Way.
God,
This movie
you're
is
an idiot.
brilliant. This is what we're living in right now. Like this shortage.
Doesn't it take place at Thanksgiving?
Scalping. Huh?
No, it's Christmas.
No, it doesn't.
Is it
He's trying to
Christmas?
ca-
Because
he's trying to get a
okay.
Turbo Man.
Stop
toy.
being a dummy. Yeah, he's trying to get a product that is completely sold out. And that is being given away during raffles and all that stuff. So this movie actually could have been remade. I think there is a Jingle All the Way too. How dare they make it without Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, I think it's Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And they recently just re-released the Turbo Man toy. So if you're in a Walmart or Toys R Us lately, you might actually see Turbo Man on the shelf. So that is the craziest thing. And it also does feature one of my favorite guys, Sinbad. Yeah. In some great jokes. And Arnold with these definitive. Oh, and Phil Hartman, right? Is his name Phil Hartman?
That's the house sitter
Yeah.
movie. Yes.
Yeah. They
Phil
passed
Hartman,
away, right? Yeah.
Well, no,
great.
he was murdered. But continue.
What? Okay, well, I'm gonna look that up after. But I think I know what you're talking. I remember now. Yeah. But rest in peace, Phil Hartman. But great performance by him too as well.
What do you think about? What did you think about Anakin Skywalker's performance, John? Were you a fan of?
He was
Jake
fine.
Lloyd?
He was just a random kid. I'm in for the Arnold. Trying to be it's the whole like you're my number one customer, and then he says it to his wife and all that stuff. Like I can't imagine like that would not go over well. But great fun holiday movie. I put it on every year, so it would be blasphemy for me to pick anything else.
Rob.
Well, see, the problem is I watch a shit ton of.
Did I take your
holidays.
choice?
No, not at all. It was literally not at all. There's a lot of movies
Rob,
I watch
fine.
during the holidays, including the Die Hard Lethal Weapons and even Die Hard 2. I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna go. It's cliche. Everybody knows it. It takes place in the 50s. You're looking, it was filmed in the 80s. It was filmed in Ontario here. I think it was in Hamilton. Every kid wants to get that one present, and it doesn't have to be a Turbo Man. It could be a Red Ryder BB gun. And the trials and tribulations of Ralphie trying to get that gun and, being told that he's going to shoot his eye out and struggling to get through the holidays, not having to wear.
Doesn't shoot his eye out to teach us the moral.
He actually does. He thought he broke his glasses, but he sitting in there in the bathroom with the soap in his mouth because he said the F word. Drink your Ovaltine, kids, listening to the radio plays of the 1950s. A Christmas Story. It's just so classic. And my kids have zero interest in watching it because it's old.
Why don't you buy them the lamp?
But you should show them this.
Yeah, the leg lamp. I mean, every time I see Fragile, I'm always like, oh, Fragile. Oh, it must be Italian, right? My son's like, that's not what it says. It's Fragile. I'm like, oh, okay. It reminds me of watching it when I was a kid, on around the holidays on City TV or on CBC.
It's a time machine. It's a time machine.
So yeah, it gives me all the feels. But that's not to say that I don't love all the other ones. Whether it's Scrooged or I'm a big fan of the Rankin Bass claymation stuff. Like that was tough. I was about to tell you, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
California Regions?
No, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Santa Claus is coming to town. Rankin Bass killed it in the 60s. So,
All right. Okay. So Rob's got that film. Okay.
What about you, Stu?
Dude, you gotta have a choice.
I would go. It's blasphemy to say this out loud.
You go all the way to? I'll kill you.
No. I'm a sucker for Miracle on 34th Street, but I like the 1994 version.
I knew it. Dylan McDermott. You're like, he's my boy.
Dylan McDermott's my boy. The Practice, but also Sir Richard Attenborough. This is Jurassic Park.
Right.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. There is something about that classic movie that is just nice. It's a time capsule to when we cared about going to retail stores and we're like, I'll tell you where the store is. Now you just be on your phone and be like, I'll just go on. It's a classic film that now today people are like, oh, I can't find it. I'll just pay like triple the price on like online to get it. So to John's point, Turbo Man, you can find Turbo Man. You just have to pay double the price for Turbo Man. There's no raffle.
Knockoff Turbo Man that speaks Mexican or maybe Chinese at this point.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I gotta say, I'm very surprised. I thought you would have picked Christmas Vacation, but on top of that, I really thought John was going to pick Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Tropical Island Vacation. I thought that.
No.
Does that exist? Does that exist?
Yes.
I would. Okay. If I'm gonna pick, if I want to pick another one, you would never, and your mildest dreams pick which Christmas movie is, because I'm gonna say it out loud, and you're just gonna be.
Wait,
like,
give us a hint. Give us a hint. Be like Christmas. Let's open up slowly. I want
to. No, because there's no hint I can get. Like the moment I say it, you'll know exactly what it is.
Is it color or black and white?
It's color. It came out in 1992.
92.
Bad Santa.
No. The
Santa Claus.
One of the principals of this movie died during pre-production of the film. It is zany. It is timeless. It is everything I want. And one of the main characters does this. It stars Michael Caine and the great Kermit the Frog. The Muppets Christmas Carol.
The Muppets Christmas. Nice. Okay, I remember Muppets Christmas. Yep.
The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, Lord. Yes. No, I had no idea.
So like, you know, Scrooge is a wonderful movie, but there's something about Muppets and the Muppet Christmas Carol where Kermit the Frog is just doing it, and Michael Caine is just like everybody just Scrooge and just dealing with it. And there's something about that movie that's hilarious, and it's the Muppets. So I'm all about that. All right. So next we're going to jump over to our next recommendation. Holidays, there's always a Christmas episode in TV shows, especially for shows that have been around for a long time. Typically in a TV show, 22 episodes, you'll do a Christmas episode, or like in Ted Lasso, you just throw in last minute. It's all good.
Oh yeah, that was a good episode.
Random Ted Lasso Christmas episode, which I enjoyed and I loved a lot because the genuineness and earnest of the episode as well. So I'm a big fan of just a random Christmas episode. So they're not as big as movies, but they are, sometimes 22 minutes of just the holiday spirit injected in you. So John, who was your favorite television Halloween episode or Christmas episode? Halloween
Christmas mix. I really
that's basically the Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm already thinking about that already, but that's
I really want to pick a Friends episode, but I can't, and I really want to pick that Batman episode.
Did you not remember it?
There's something I watch more and more, and I watch it pretty much every Christmas. And I really want to pick that Batman episode. I feel like the opener was Batman, Robin, and Joker, and it was a Christmas episode.
Yep.
I do want to pick that just because we're comic related, but I have to pick a Garfield Christmas special, just because I shouted out the Halloween special a couple times, but I actually was kind of scared of it when I was a kid. But the Garfield Christmas special is one of my all-time favorites, and it's just great. I can't say anything else about it. I feel like Bill Murray did the voice for it, but I'm not 100% sure. But no, he did the new movie, so he's the guy who did the cartoon voice of Peter Venkman did the Garfield voice. But it's just a great story of Garfield kind of being selfish at Christmas, and he goes home to the family of John, his owner, and they're kind of like hillbillies, and he kind of learns about Christmas and kind of flips the script and starts being more giving, which is normally a very selfish cat.
All right, John.
Look at Rob's just dumbfounded.
Rob?
You're gonna pick West Wing or something, aren't you?
I am. I guess in retrospect, I could have said the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is more of a TV show, or the Charlie Brown Christmas or whatever.
Garfield was a TV show,
but I wanted to go with something that Christmas episodes always make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, even if they're involving a crazy Time Lord, trying to save the Earth from the evil snowmen or try and solve a mystery while he's regenerating. Christmas episodes can always give you that feel good as Stu said, put dose of the holiday spirit in you, but I wanted to go with something a little bit more serious.
You're not going with the Doctor Who. Wow, I really thought you're going Doctor Who. I'm like, you're laying the groundwork for one of the best
going Doctor Who
episodes. Christmas special, like that's what they do. They do Christmas specials, Rob. You're really not going to go Doctor. Wow.
I'm going to go a little bit different because I feel like I'm a huge fan of this writer's work. And I feel you could watch this episode and it plays out like a stage play. I'm going to go with one of Andre's favorite properties, The West Wing, but I'm going to go with season 2's episode called Noel. And the reason I do it is that if you had watched The West Wing, or if you're not familiar, the end of season 1, the cliffhanger was that a gunman or men shoot at the president, and a number of the staff are taking cover, and one of them, Josh Lyman, played by the great Bradley Whitford, is struck. He's shot in the gut. He survives because he makes to the Christmas episode of season 2. However, during this episode, as you're building up in the couple of episodes prior to this Christmas episode, he's a little bit on edge. He's a bit, short patient, low temper. And during this episode, Noel, you realize that he's actually suffering from PTSD, but they bring in the great Adam Arkin, who plays the psychologist Stanley. It doesn't matter. And they're sitting there talking, and they're telling him, that the president has pretty much ordered Josh to sit and have this conversation on Christmas Eve with the psychologist, and he's recounting the moment that this whole entire thing, it happens, a year prior or whatever it was, and being shot, and hearing the popping of champagne corks, or the bells of the carolers outside are the trigger for him. And this is juxtaposed with the carolers, and Yo-Yo Ma shows up to give a performance for the president in the West Wing. And so it's a very somber, it's very serious. There is a lot of joy. When you're watching it, regardless of what time of the year, you get the feel of it being Christmas. But the writing by Aaron Sorkin is just so solid. It is literally like watching a play unfold in 44 minutes. And it's mesmerizing. So I as much as it's a bit of a different swing from my TARDIS traveling friend, I like to throw that one on because I feel like it gives a different perspective to the holidays, and that we're not always, it's not always joy for everybody.
New hand. This is a new hand.
A Sansuma? Who puts a Sansuma?
Stu, what do you think? Do you think that's Ted Lasso episode?
I'm gonna go with
that was pretty good.
An episode that came out in Fox season 2 back in the year of our Lord 1999. Futurama's Xmas story. It is everything you want. John Goodman shows up as Robot Santa, and Fry is like, what's going on? Why isn't there Christmas and whatever? And then you discover that Robot Santa is a maniacal, evil robot that goes around shooting at people. And the elves, there's songs, there's a rap, there's all the musical interludes you want from a Christmas episode. And just the fact that he went so crazy that no one is ever good is just makes it so much better. And Futurama, just French kiss, everything is really great in that episode. So it's a quick blast from the past. And the thing is, they never turn Robot Santa good. They just let's just run away, and that's it. So he'll come back, and there are many times where Robot Santa shows back again, which is great. But the first appearance of Robot Santa makes me laugh. And he shows up later again in another episode with Robot Santa, the Kwanzaa bot, and then there's one more. I think a zombie.
What? I remember that.
A zombie rabbi. Later on, they show up to fight the aliens.
I remember this now. Yeah.
It's like, of course, the Kwanzaa bot's there too. I think Coolio played the voice of that one. But yeah, so that's. I watch that one every year when I go on Netflix or when it was on streaming. I'll just go watch Futurama, that episode, and just enjoy all that is, and just them in screaming of terror when they hear Santa. It's like, what do you mean Santa? Everyone's like, no, and just like running, hiding for their lives. The one time a year when he'll come out and try to shoot you down in the streets.
So I have a question for you, Stu. We've got 10 Christmas specials from Doctor Who. Which one is your favorite?
No, it's the one that you talked about. The
first one. It's actually the first one. Yeah,
the first
with
one
David
where
Tennant.
Yeah, with David Tennant, where he's the first time he has changed from Eccleston to David Tennant. He's just regenerated. He doesn't know who he is yet. That was the like conversation that happens where he's like, I don't know what kind of doctor I am yet, and he's having conversations, and there's some levity at the end where he does topple government by saying just 5 words. So like that was really
the spinning Christmas trees that were like cutting the doors in half and stuff like that, and the aliens.
There's a lot. Like I love the Matt Smith ones. I was a sucker for the next Doctor. That one was fun because we saw the guy from The Walking Dead who just plays like a jerk. It maybe be the Doctor. So there's a few good ones.
David Morrison.
Yeah, and then the one with and then there's the one with Capaldi and River Song where they finally go to the Singing Towers. So there's like a lot of like fun Christmassy episodes, but I think the first one's the one that I like the most.
I'd throw that one on anytime and watch that one because it is just it's good.
And then the hand, because it all comes back at the end later on. Like there's like this and that's why I'm so looking forward, Rob, and this is our Doctor Who tangent, to the new Doctor Who, because the man who was so involved in the creation of that storyline and the Dr. Donna and all the things that came before, he be back. So I'm looking forward to see you
in 2023.
I can't come soon enough. All right. So before we wrap up,
pun Christmas wrapping. All right, go on.
As we know that supply chains are difficult, there are many articles today saying get your Christmas gifts now. So we're here to do a service. We're here to recommend something to buy for people right now while you can still get stuff, because the supply chains are low. So John, do you have a recommendation for people for a Christmas or holiday gift? What do you got?
So I really want people to get into potentially gaming this Christmas season. So I don't know if anyone hasn't tried playing a card game like a Magic or Pokemon or something along those lines, but those games are immensely fun, especially if you get together with a bunch of friends. Once you start playing with the cards and building ratios and trying to figure out probabilities and all this kind of stuff, it's actually a really fun thing that's going to be consuming a lot of your time and you will enjoy for it. So the game I'm going to recommend is either the Marvel Champions line or the Arkham Horror living card game. So these are 2 great games that you can play solo, or you can have additional friends added to it. So Champions has got a superhero theme. You can pick your favorite hero and you can go against your favorite villain if you want. They have multiple different boxes and scenarios, even a Kang the Conqueror scenario, which is a lot of fun. You go all through time and that's a lot of fun. You build your own deck and you work together. Arkham Horror is a very similar game, but it's got more of like a horror slant to it, a Cthulhu theme. So either of those games, I think, are a good entry point into the idea of card gaming that I think is very rewarding if you get into it.
Rob?
Oh, I got visuals, buddies.
Look at this guy.
So on the Heroes World Sidekick show last week, John was talking about some new Batman black and white statues that are back in the store. Now, you see behind me, I've got some statues over here, and they might be a little bit expensive. We also, Heroes World sells the more premium ones like the Prime one, the Sideshow, which are a few thousand. But if you're looking to get yourself or your partner or your adult children or whatever into a budget-friendly entry level for a statue, even if it's something you just want to display by the desk, the Batman black and white statues are a tremendous line. They're at 102 statues right now. And I just brought some just to kind of give some context as to what they look like. So they literally are black and white. This is a Jason Fabok statue. As you can see, it's about 10 inches or so, John, I guess. Right? I would say it's 44 inches.
With good lighting.
I'm a guy I like to exaggerate.
With lighting and shadows, yes.
I'm going to show it. This is like the Norm Bray folk. Like they're all the statues are based off of the different artist designs of their version of Batman. This last one I'm going to show is just a different version. Like it's
Please be careful.
Mark Silvestri. It's the Mark Silvestri one where he's sitting on the throne. And so currently at Heroes World, my understanding is that you guys got the Todd McFarlane, the number 100 statue, which is probably it's a little bit bigger than this Fabok one. It probably stands about 12 inches. But then you have like a Jim Lee one as well. they're affordable statues. Again, they're not toys, right? They're numbered. They're limited to about 5,000 pieces. But if you're looking for a gift for, you're not sure what to get your significant other, male, female, doesn't make a difference, or your kid or whatever, a little bit older, and they want something to display in their background. As the kids say nowadays, if you want to flex with your background, these are pretty cool to have and something to look at. So I would recommend getting to the store and grabbing yourself a Batman black and white statue, because man, I've got a whole bunch of them in the case over there, and they're gorgeous to look at. So that's my recommendation.
Very nice, very nice. My recommendation is two things fold. One is for people that are, things are hopefully turning around for COVID, but we do know there's a little bit of spike. So for those who are maybe not ready to go out fully in the world, I'd recommend to go to buy any of the fine models, the Gundam models available, whether you don't have to buy the master level, but just buy any of the models that you can get your hands on. It's fun to build it, play some music. It's very, for me, a Zen-like purpose. You play music in the background, you start clipping the pieces, you're attaching them together, and you're at the end of the day, the product is basically you have built something. So you can buy the high-end Gundam models, which a lot of people, cool. Eventually, also, if you feel a little ambitious, paint. But if not, some of them are already colored, and you can just do whatever you want. But if you really want to go really challenge yourself, you can airbrush battle damage, or basic wear damage. It looks like they were actually, doing stuff outside of just sitting in their case and being pristine and perfect. So it's a nice gift for someone who, maybe not going out, or, someone that's going to stay at home mainly during the holiday season, but it is a nice thing to buy. If you are able to get together with friends and family, I'd recommend getting a nice starter game, Wingspan. It's a really fun, competitive, medium weight card game. It's an engine building game, so you're collecting beautiful illustrated cards by Beth Sobel. She draws these kind of like watercolor birds. The birds are North American. There's an expansion for European birds, but essentially you're kind of in the game, you play a bird enthusiast, a watcher, a researcher, and collector. You're trying to attract the best birds to your wildlife preserve. So you there's a rows of whether they're wetland, they're dry, or just water, but they are very beautiful. The game comes with a little 3D, like you can make a bird box, and there's like some really nice eggs to go with it. It's a beautifully looking game. It's nice entry level. It's not too hard. It's a medium.
Great. When you set it up, if family or friends are over and they're like, no, I don't want to play. Once you set it up, they're like, okay, hold on, what's going on here? I don't want to miss out on this. But yeah, beautiful game.
And then if you really, really have time with friends and you haven't seen them for a while and you want to play a game for like 12 hours, you can play Root. It's one of those, it's a really complicated but really engaging, fun game where you play in a small wood-like environment. Each faction has their own powers and capabilities. Like there's the bird kingdom, there's the vagabond, there's the moles, there's like all these different the cat people, so each of them have a different dynamic. So yeah,
like it's like an asymmetrical design where you play different roles. It's not like just you're blue, you're red, you're black. You you actually have different roles.
The designer was kind of doing this war engagement style where like what happens when one person plays the huge militaristic unit, there are these other units that are kind of playing like kind of the underground rebellion. So these elements of like unequal forces, and each faction, you're playing with different rules. Everyone has different kind of engagement rules and criteria. So it's a really cool kind of fun thing to do. But man, oh man, if you're going to do it, you got to prepare and read and really be able to teach
the animals.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game too, but it is a lot. But I recommend it. So needless to say, there's some of our suggestions for the holiday season. Recommend going anywhere if you can go by Heroes World, pick it up. It's great. I would also, of course, say the Matt Fratton Hawkeye book. Pick that bad boy up. It's
been
awesome.
Doing well for us.
So because there's a lot of fun stuff in it. So as we wrap, John, where can they find you in
bonus round though, Stu? What's your go-to Christmas song?
Oh,
Rob, do you have one? Does
No,
Tool do a version?
It's Feliz Navidad, man.
That's
Yeah?
the worst. That's the worst song. That is literally the worst song.
Honestly, because I hear the other ones so often, I don't hear Feliz Navidad. Like, this is basically the one I hear the least, because I'm Dreaming of White Christmas, Mariah, like the Bonnie M, like all those songs I hear every single time. So anything I don't hear the most is a song I like, because it's
Oh my God, Feliz Navidad is always. I honestly, that's my.
Where are
worst
you
song.
listening to where it's always on?
98.1 CHFI, brother. Yeah, man. Right now it's Christmas tunes all the time. December 1st, I crank that station up, and that's all I listen to for the next 30 days.
I had a coworker that would rock the Bonnie M soundtrack when we were working. So I never
Andre used to do that when we used to have a CD player. It was nonstop on at the shop.
Yeah.
Rob, what's your go-to Christmas then?
There's this
holiday song.
Yeah, it's. I know that you would think it's Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. It is not. I'm going old school. This song has been covered by a number of people. But Frank Sinatra did it the best. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. That song gets me right in the feels every time I hear it. The way that Frank, is very slow and melodic in his delivery. The backup singers coming in. Nothing against the Michael Bublé version and some of the other people who have covered it, but old school, man. Frank Sinatra, old Blue Eyes himself, did it the best. And honestly, every time I hear that song, it stops me in my tracks, and I pay attention, and I might actually hum along. So,
John,
that's a solid choice. I know what you think I'm going to say, and it's
come on, you know it's Mariah. You have a tattoo.
John, the question is, if it's not Mariah.
Okay, so if I take Mariah off the board,
no. I want to know, is it Mariah? Is it Mariah? That's it.
I want to say All I Want for Christmas, but it gets played so much that I have so many other Mariah Carey songs.
Well, then that's a lie then. So it's not All I Want for Christmas Is You. That's not the Christmas one. You were just saying that just for whatever reason. So it's not All I Want for Christmas Is You. That's what you're saying. It's not Mariah.
I want to say it's Mariah, but no.
There we go.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna let Mariah know that you're not the one.
I'm gonna go. I have so many of her other songs on deck, so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go with something a little bit more obscure, and that's Tony Braxton's "Christmas in Jamaica," just because it is so out there that you have a fun time when that comes on, and it never gets played on the radio. So
people don't know. John would go to Jamaica to vacation. He's Jamaican Chinese, so therefore there's a thing. So that's a very deep cut why he plays Christmas Jamaica. That's the feels for him. John, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, so on the internet, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube, everything is Heroes World Online, even our website. So that's the easiest way to find us. You can message us through any of those means, and we can set up whatever you need or whatever you're looking for, or hopefully direct you to where you need to go. Other than that, you can hit us up on the audio, anywhere you get your podcast, Heroes World Podcast, all separate words. If you're on a type of service that allows you to rate or leave a review for us, please do so. It helps us out in the so-called algorithms. And then if you are available in person,
why are you using air quotes like Joey from Friends?
No, well,
John, honestly, Rob, John's been
been
watching a lot of C-SPAN, and he's watching a lot of senators be like, so this internet, I was told by my constituents that I can remove the things on the internet if I just click the right button. So you're telling me I can get he's watching a lot of senators that don't understand the internet.
You're telling me. Yeah, so if you're available in person, we are located in Markham, Ontario. We're directly in the northeast corner of Warden and Highway 7. You can find us in that huge plaza with No Frills, Shoppers Drug Mart, Felix and Norton, Cocoa Bubble Tea. They're running a special every day of the week. There's a different bubble tea on special. Definitely hit that up. Canada Computers. We got everything in there. Tons of free parking, lots of amenities. Come on in. We're open throughout most of the week. You can double check our website or hit us up with a message at double check our hours. But we are there to show you all kinds of wicked stuff we got. So we've got the black and white statues Rob mentioned. We've got a lot of the games that Stu mentioned and the comics and stuff that we always mention on this podcast. All kinds of action figures. You name it. We've got it, or we know where to get it. So hit us up and we'll set you up.
What's your situation with the God pliers, John? How many God pliers?
I have them in stock. Yeah, Stu's talking about the God hand pliers that cut your Gundam sprues like butter. if you have never experienced this, I used to keep my set on deck at the store, and I used to show people. I'd be like, hey, they'd be like, how much are these pliers? And I'd be like, yeah, they're $80. But before you react to that, here's a set of regular pliers. Cut this sprue, and then here's the God hand. Cut it, and everyone's response was, and they would instantly buy a pair. So definitely, if you want to check out those pliers, it'll save you. If you're building lots of kits, or you just want to have a pimp ass tool set, like a lot of people, craftsmen and masters of whatever, say you got to invest in your tools. God hand pliers cut plastic sprues like butter. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Look at Rob. Rob, I know you're skeptical, but
I have no clue. What? These hands are soft. What's a plier? What are you talking about?
Imagine trying to cut your grass with an oar from a boat, and you're just swinging it, and nothing's happening. And then I hand you a samurai sword made by whoever its famous Japanese sword maker is, and you pull a bodyguard Kevin Costner, and you hold the sword, and you drop your whatever you wear around your neck, Scott, Rob, at night.
Scott,
you drop it, and it. An ascot. Yeah, that's it. And you drop it, and it splits on the sword, and then you play "I Will Always Love You." That is the feeling you will get from a pair of God hands.
There we go.
Very funny name for them, by the way.
They are the hands of God. Yeah. So again, please, as John mentioned, any support, whether it's a digital or in person, is most welcome. So we appreciate everything that people are doing. Much love. Thank you so much. Rob, what's going on with the Sidekick Show? What the dealio? Please tell me you were talking about searching for Sugar Man.
Oh, yes.
Is that 2022? Can we line that up for 2022?
We're going to have to definitely do that in 2022. Can I just tell you guys, we are 3 shows away until the holidays. Every Monday live on 8:15 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find us in the Heroes World Sidekick Show. The last couple of weeks we've been going back in time. We checked out the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Last week we did the Andrew Garfield, Mark Webb Spider-Man duology. And this coming Monday, we are going to be talking about Tom Holland's MCU version of Spider-Man. Why are we doing this? Well, because kids, we are heading right into Spider-Man No Way Home, which drops December the 17th. So definitely you want to join us. Both of these movies are online. I think they're both on Netflix right now. You can find them. You can rewatch them, revisit them, however you want.
Is actually right, Spider-Man.
What's that? Sorry?
It's on Disney.
No, Plus. Disney Plus. No, it doesn't have it. They do have Civil War. So you can watch Civil War if you want to take a look.
It's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. You can definitely check out Civil War on Disney Plus if you want to see Spidey's first MCU entrance. Then check out Homecoming and Far From Home on Netflix. Join us as we talk and we revisit the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies as we lead into No Way Home. That's Monday night, 8:15 p.m. live.
Sorry, Rob. Do you technically have to slide in Endgame or Infinity War between Homecoming and Far From Home?
In Endgame,
because they come back from the blip.
Not really.
Yeah, but he's not really. It's like he's only in it for like 2.5 minutes.
The Infinity.
Infinity
but the second
War,
movie takes place right after the blip, does it not?
Yeah, it does. But it would.
But if you're gonna do the Infinity Saga, is the one that you would watch. Tom Holland.
Listen, here's the thing. I think the people who are watching this have likely already seen all these movies, anyways. So
no, I'm just saying. Technically, the timeline is Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and then Far From Home, and now we're on.
Correct. Yeah. You're very right.
He has already played Spider-Man more than anyone else. He is now the guy who's played Spider-Man the most.
He's the guy.
He's the guy because the other two had 2 and 3, so he's now the definitive Spider-Man. That's it, Tom Holland.
So yeah, we're going to talk about it, and does it hold up? Do we have all the feels? We're looking forward to No Way Home, so definitely join us Monday 8:15. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Join us. That's it.
Exciting. So thank you for joining us. Watch Get Back. Keep on doing that. Watch Searching for Sugar Man, another great one. Watch lots of stuff. Be merry. Watch Christmas episodes. Keep on going. And watch Mariah on one of her Christmas specials.
Mariah Carey. I think
there's a new one coming out.
Coming up tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow, December 3rd. We're recording this, so you probably
go online to YouTube. Check out Justin. Check out Justin Chancellor. Type in Justin Chancellor Christmas. He's the bassist from Tool. You're gonna see what he just did. This big, massive thing for his pedals. You're gonna want to check that out if you're a Tool fan for Christmas. All right, John. There you go, buddy.
Yeah. I just think that we missed the chance, for a Tool Christmas album. I just think that they could just really just get to the next level.
I don't think you guys understand Tool if you really think that they would release a Christmas album. All right, this is not your Backstreet Boys Christmas.
We sent a message to Guar, they do it, but
yeah, okay, whatever. All right.
Is there a Red Hot Chili Peppers Christmas album?
There is not a Red Hot Chili Peppers Christmas album.
Is there Danny California?
What about Slipknot?
In the background?
Can we get Slipknot to do a Christmas album?
There is not a Slipknot Christmas album.
The rock cover. Green Day. Does Green Day have a Christmas album?
They do not have a Christmas album.
Are you sure? Definitive?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just asking.
Most rock bands, like not most, some rock bands will do one song.
Do they have a Christmas
I'm
song?
sure that they do. Yes. I think Adam Levine.
You guys want to see a music
Adam
podcast?
Levine
Let
would
us
do.
know.
Adam Levine would probably do an Easter album.
Honestly, he might need to do a Christmas album to get rid of that face tattoo he just got. So he's got a.
He just got it though.
He's got a face
It's
tattoo.
a rub-on.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe he'll get that
He'll
one
be
to get
fine.
removed. It's
Adam Levine will be fine.
not a good look. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Next week we're gonna talk about Christmas albums. Clearly, we gotta get our ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Figure out who has the best definitive Christmas album. I think John is gonna ride or die with Mariah. So it'd be for me and John to see if we can find a better Christmas album. So join us.
It'd be a tough race, Mariah or Brian McKnight. I don't know. Yeah.
Gosh, Rob and me are gonna have to research next week on Hawkeye. We're gonna bring up
Emo Bryson for the win.
we're gonna bring up a Christmas album. We're gonna do some research, John. Mariah will be toppled. Thank you so much, everyone. See you later.
You also have to own the album though, so you guys can't just come up with an album.
Yeah, I'll buy it digitally just to prove it.
That doesn't count.
All right, bye.
I can go dig